we have two eminent speakers today before us. They are Shri Shiva Kumar ji, who is a director, Indian Council for Integral Education, National Director of RO Youth, the youth wing of Sri Aurobindo Society, Pondicherry.
Namaste and good morning. We'll start with an ideal scenario that everybody who is involved in the educational field is given absolute freedom to come up with a new type of education and new methods of implementing. What are we going to come up with? It's a serious question, because if we are clear about what should be the content of education, then we will end up misutilizing the freedom that we have been asking for. But before we enter into the content of education, I would like all of us to make a small discovery. It's a very simple discovery. We will begin from there and then we will see where it takes us. Can all of you read? Two words I would like every one of us to understand: inside and outside. It's important to make this distinction, because from there we can develop the content of education. What do I mean when I say inside? Is it something inside the educational institutes, or inside the classrooms, or inside something else? We are talking about life experiences, and if our education will have to help us to engage with life in the best possible way, if we have to meet the world in the right way, whatever experience we want to have, we have to develop certain things inside of us. So when I say inside, what do I mean? Inside of us. I would like to share with you an incident that happened several years back. There was an artist who happened to be my friend, and I come from Puducherry. Earlier it was known as Pondicherry, where Sri Aurobindo Ashram is located. So we are a community of people, and this artist friend, he was holding an exhibition of some of the greatest paintings in the world. Obviously we couldn't get the original pieces, so they were all photographs of the original masterpiece paintings from all over the world. And one day he invited me to come to this exhibition with him, so that we can spend a little bit of time enjoying and appreciating, taking in the full experience of the art that is presented to us. This is the best of the best. So I went there, and we went inside the exhibition hall, and one of the first pieces that was put up was the photograph of the painting of Mona Lisa. Have you heard of Mona Lisa? So who is the author of that painting? Leonardo da Vinci. So that was the first one. He said, I looked at the painting and it didn't interest me at all. So I just passed on to the next one. So my artist friend said, wait, hold on. We have to spend some time before it. So he said, pull up a chair. We pulled up a chair, and both of us sat right in front of the Mona Lisa painting. And then he said, engage with the painting. So I tried to engage with the painting. All that I could see was a very ordinary looking lady. She's no Aishwarya Rai and not ugly either, just an ordinary looking lady. And when I looked further at the painting, I wanted to figure out, is she portraying some happy state? Probably that is why this painting is put up as the first one. So I asked him, so what is the significance of this painting? He said, this is one of the best paintings in the world. I said, wonderful. I looked at Mona Lisa, the lady who is sitting. She is neither expressing any happiness nor expressing any sadness. Plain looking lady, ordinary lady, absolutely hardly any emotions that I could figure out. And she was not in any expressive posture too. It's a plain sitting. I immediately got up, and then I said, well, we have to look at some other paintings. I don't know why you want me to sit and look at this painting. It doesn't engage me at all. And then he said, no. You sit in front of this painting and then look through my eyes. And then he said, that this is a painting which you think it doesn't convey happiness, it doesn't convey sadness, but it conveys a mystery. So I said I got a little bit hooked onto it. So I wanted to ask him, what is the mystery? He said that you have to figure out. And when we looked at that painting, he said, do you notice there is a background to that painting? So that was the first time I even noticed the background, which is not, see in those days people make the models sit inside a studio and some nice flower vase will be there and then they paint. This was not such a background. The background, do you remember? Anybody here recall what was the background of Mona Lisa? There is a mountain, there is a bridge, there is a water body, and he said keep looking and you will find that there is a depth in the painting. And this lady is not sitting on the ground. From where you are having a ground view, it is an aerial view. And as he said, I found myself lifted up in the air, and then I was already getting the aerial view, which was one of the first of its kind when Leonardo da Vinci painted. And then when I entered into the depth and dimensions of the painting, lot of things opened up. The play of the colors, light and shadow, the details, the color combinations. When he started explaining things to me one by one, something inside me opened up, and then after 1 hour, I could feel that I am sitting in front of a mystery, that is Mona Lisa, which has engaged the world for such a long time. And interestingly, I would not have done this if I had not a friend who has explained this to me. I would have passed by. Remember, it was Mona Lisa painting was the same. For me, it didn't make sense. I couldn't engage. I couldn't have the full experience, but my artistic friend said, I can spend hours and hours, even months in front of this picture because I can engage with the painting. So the painting was the same, our experiences were totally different. What was the difference that created this difference in the experience? Anybody? Perception. What was there in him which was not there? That artistic faculty, that aesthetic faculty, the combination of colors which he has developed. If he has not developed that refined sense of aesthetics and artistic faculty, then he would also be just like me. The difference was the experience became fuller because he has developed the artistic sense in him. I had not. When I started doing it, then I could engage with that painting. It's an interesting thing. If I have to experience anything on the outside, meaning in this world, I need to have something developed on the inside. Let us say all of us are youngsters. You would like to enjoy the best music which is available in the world? Why not? I can download it and give it to you in a pen drive. Does it mean that you will be able to enjoy the music? Probably. Some of you, for some of the pieces, the best pieces in the music, you will spend 5 minutes and you might at least get bored. If something inside you is not developed, what is the thing that needs to be developed inside you if you have to have the fullest experience of music? You should have undergone years and years of training and developed a musical ear, and then you will understand how the saptaswaras are playing with each other, one raga is transitioning into other raga, and how the emotions are kept in between the movement of the sound, and then it opens up. The world of music opens up once you have opened up the music inside. Yes or no? It's an interesting connection, isn't it? The things that are available to everybody equally, but the difference is the more we develop the corresponding thing in us, then our experience becomes richer. Literature. I will take one more example. Let us say I want to enjoy the best literature available in the world. Again, I usually go to Google. I can download the best literature available. Do you think I will be able to understand and appreciate Ramayana, Mahabharata, Odyssey and all the best literature, Shakuntalam in the world? Yes or no? What will I need? I need to have developed the necessary linguistic faculty in me. where I have gone into the depths of the meaning of the words and the particular language, and then if I get a literature of that caliber, that literature engages me and gives me a totally different experience. So whether it is music, art, literature, dance, if I have to enjoy and appreciate the dance forms that are available, do you think I will be able to appreciate it if I don't have the sense of bodily rhythm developed in me? Yes or no? Otherwise, I will be wondering why this person is totally restless and then he is throwing around his arms and legs, as simple as that. And this is something that we have to understand. This is important. Every experience, you want to enjoy food, the best food. Which is the place where best food is available? Here? Which is the one? Plenty of places. You go, you pick your variety, and suppose when you go there, let's say you have a cold, or you have an itching in your tongue, you are not able to feel the sense of taste, and you have the richest food that is available here, will we be able to taste the food? Every experience, even emotions, if you want to relate to another person, we need to have the emotions developed within. Every experience in this world, if you want to experience it to the fullest, we have to develop something on the inside. There is a world outside which is common for everybody, but there is a world inside which is individual for every one of us. Yes or no? And this world inside is not the same for everybody. It is under various process of development, and our experience will depend on that. Yes? And if we have to have an education, I would like that education to explore this world inside and develop it to its maximum possibilities, so that every moment of life that I spend on the outside is as rich as it can be. Do you make the connection now? What do we want in the name of education? In the name of education, I would like education to help me to get in touch with this inner world and develop quite a lot of things. Because for every experience out there, I have to develop something on the inside. And if that is so, in the name of education, what could be its content? Because there are a million things that I have to experience on the outside world, and therefore there are a zillion things which I have to discover on the world inside. You can't fit everything in the name of education, and therefore can we not categorize it? Can we not generalize it, bring out a framework so that education could be made simpler, the content could be attempted at? So when we look inside, let us relate to our own experiences. At least I come across 3 types of energies which I have to deal with. I need to control them, I need to become master of them, so that they are at my disposal to engage with the world. The first one is what I would call as the physical energies. Yes? We all have a body, isn't it? As soon as we are born, from the moment we are born, what are we struggling to do? We are struggling to acclimatize ourselves with that body in which we are just born. And what am I supposed to do? As a child, as soon as I am born, I will have to learn to flip over, I will have to learn to crawl, I will have to learn to get up, walk, climb, run. There are innumerable things. I need to learn to digest food. When I was in the womb of my mother, food was given to me directly, but when I come outside of the womb, I need to eat food. And I don't even know how to sleep. The proper sleep habits is something that I need to master. The food habits, the breathing habits, the exercise. There are a whole lot of things. I need to develop the coordination in my body. I need to develop a mastery over the functions. If I eat food, I should be able to digest it comfortably. These are the things associated with everybody's body, isn't it? And if we gain mastery over these functions, we would gain mastery over our physical energies. Yes or no? Is it easy to comprehend? So one type of content of education is something that will help me to become master of my body by helping me to gain control over my functions, the development of various parts of the body. Now, I don't have only body, this physical body. I have something more which makes up me. Can you tell me what it is? Are we only the body? What else do we have? We have a mind which keeps on thinking so many things. Other than that? Well, that is a tricky word. Soul. Has anybody here experience of the soul? What color, what size, what shape it is? I'm sure some of you might have glimpses, and it is little difficult. It's not in the common person's experience. So we'll begin with something which we can relate to. Other than the mind, what else do we have? The hands, well, which is part of the body. I need to have mastery over controlling the body parts, which we have already covered. Emotions, are you happy now or sad now or a kind of neutral? Can you not tell us? We have senses, we have emotions. It's interesting that if we enter into the realm of gaining control over the emotional energies, that opens up another dimension of activities. What are the fields where we put our emotional energies into? Art. Does art need emotion? Music, dance, drama, interpersonal relationship. So many things where if we have not gained control over emotions, then we will always be on a roller coaster ride. One moment we are happy, and then something happens, and the other moment we are in the doldrums. Yes or no? And it is important for us to learn to gain control over all these emotional energies, so that not only we can emotionally engage with the world, but if we develop these to its utmost possibility, we can even be creators in the field of art and music and dance and drama and all other fields where emotional energies need to be channelized. Yes or no? Now that is a second domain that we have to work on in the name of education. There is a third domain which you have already mentioned, the mental energies. The capacity to concentrate, focus, the capacity to create, the memory, the capacity to synthesize ideas, the capacity to think logically, the capacity to find solutions. You know, when you become a CEO or a social entrepreneur, ours is a country where there is no shortage for problems, yes? And we need to find solutions. How do we find it? Unless and until we have all the mental energies at our disposal, so that we can focus on the problem and then come up with 100 innovative solutions for every problem that is out there. Yes or no? And this, the capacity to focus our mental energies and develop all the components of the mind, becomes a third domain. So just to look back at the three domains that we have covered in the name of discovering the inner world and then gaining control over it, so that I am master of myself, ready to engage with the world. The first domain is the physical domain, things related to the body. We have to become masters of our body. The second one are the senses and emotions. We need to be in charge of emotions. The world should not dictate emotions to me. I should be in charge of my emotions, and that becomes gaining control over my emotional energies. And the third domain is gaining control over the processes of my mind. And this, a lot of alternative educational system has arrived at this through deep reflection and their life experiences. You have heard of Waldorf system? Yeah? It's an alternative. It says 3H. Hand symbolizing the body, heart and head. If you go to Sri Aurobindo Ashram, they have three other terms: physical, and then the vital energy is the emotional and the mental. And these are the three domains which every day we are engaging into experiences. And if education does not help us to develop our capacities in these three domains, or three parts of us, then education, that education which teaches only about outside world, is an incomplete education. So in the outside world, the categorization goes like you have to have physics, chemistry, biology, and industrial engineering and social entrepreneurship. These are the subjects covering the world outside, and the subjects that are covering the inner world are things related to the body, things related to the emotions, things related to the mind. But do we have only these three parts, main parts, which constitute us, or is there something else? I think one of you said something about inner soul. Somebody said here, right? Inner soul. Could you?
It's like electricity. You can't see it, but you can see the consequence.
You can see the consequence. Have you experienced this inner soul any time? Anybody here? It's anything, any experience, its color, its shape, its contact, its engagement. He says you can't see it, but you can engage with it. I say that everybody has been in touch with at one point of time or the other. When we were born, yes, when we were born, our bodies are very small, our mind and emotions have not yet developed. Yes or no? From the moment we were born, something was guiding our body to grow in the most brilliant way. So when the child is born, do you see any mother giving it a lecture that, "Arey Baba, on the first day you have to open your eyes, second day you will have to start eating, third day you will have to start flipping over, fourth day you will have to start crawling"? Does the child need any lecturing? Then how does the child learn to do these things? Something in the child was constantly impelling it to take up this task with such meticulousness, with such precision, that when the right moment comes, the child used to do. Yes or no? It's not that we don't have to give a lecture to the child. One. So that is one example. The second example is this fourth part. Even before naming it as the inner soul, let's call it as the fourth part in us. Probably this fourth part is guiding the development of our personality. I will give you an example. Are there anybody here who are part of a twin? Are there any twins here? Yes. So usually they grow up in almost the same circumstances, and yet is their characters and the way they behave, talk, and then do things, is it the same? Or are they two different individuals? What is your experience? The one twin whom we have, are you a carbon copy of the other one? There are so many differences, isn't it? It is not the outside world. Even if they are the same parents, probably you would have gone even to the same school, I don't know, same type of education, and yet what was different was something inside has decided that I am going to be my own individual. So it begins to develop certain characteristics, certain habits, and certain things from the inside too. Outside there are a few common things, but inside there is an individuality that is coming up. And this is the part, if we have not cracked our understanding of this part, we will be missing out something very, very precious in the education, because this part seems to know with such a meticulous preciseness how we have to grow and what are the things we need to become an individual of our own. Yes or no? And that, in a certain sense, completes this educational system where things related to the physical, emotional, mental, and something inside, you can name it what you want, but the experience is the same. You can call it as soul, inner soul, management people will call it as inner potential, the spiritual people will call it as Antaratman, somebody will call it as a God sitting inside. It's okay, but it's important to have the experience, and once we can relate to it, then it immediately comes under the domain, and everything that we want to do in the name of education, and this can be one of the most beautiful framework that we can think of. Is it okay? So far so good? Yes? And if this is so, it makes sense to build these components along with the information that comes from outside. So in one of our projects that we have taken up, we wanted to know in the present day education, how much of this, the education of the inner world, which will decide how we are going to interact with the outside world, is taken up. So what we did was, we took up the one subject which is mathematics and wanted to know how relevant what is taught in the classroom in the mainstream schools to life that we live outside. So what we did was, from the first standard to the 10th standard, we took up CBSE syllabus. We took up the mathematics books of whatever we could find. We started stacking them one after the other, so that all the first standard to 10th standard mathematics books almost filled up this much. Do you know approximately how many number of pages will constitute this mathematics subject alone from standard 1 to standard 10? Well, it was almost 1,600 pages. So in that 1,600 pages, we had covered so many things. And I'm sure every one of you recalls all those things that you have learned over 1,600 pages. How many hours would we have spent? In a week, usually it is 5 periods. And 5 periods means usually 2.5 to 3 hours. And over in 1 year of around, let us say, 30 weeks in an year, we had around 120 hours spent every year for mathematics alone. Multiply it by 10, we have around, when we actually counted, it was around 1,600 hours of mathematics, covering around 1,600 pages. And then we asked all those people who are grown up, how much of this have you used in your real life? And if you have to make a percentage, I'm taking only one subject and then asking you that how much do you think are you going to make use of out of this 1,600 hours that you have spent over 1,600 pages, approximately in a percentage, how many do you think is going to be relevant to you? In a percentage. Second degree equation, third degree equation, when you go to the food mall, do you remember your second degree equation? Something like ax squared plus bx plus c equal to, anything like that? How many do you think is going to actually use it in their life? 1 or 2 here who are meant to be scientists. But what about in India? How many students are there? How many lakhs and lakhs of students? Why are we making everybody go through 1,600 hours of 1,600 pages of mathematics? No wonder they have made mathematics into an acronym, MATH. Do you know the full form? What is it? You would know.
It's an Hindi full form.
Tell me.
मेरी आत्मा तुझे हमेशा सताएगी.
Well, I have an English version. Mentally affected teachers harassing students, because it is one of the least comprehended, and every day the mathematics teacher comes and says, we don't know how to connect it with the least outside world. But remember, mathematics is part of our life, but the basic mathematics is what I myself have used. I have used addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and a little bit of percentage. You know, when Jio comes and says that it is completely unlimited talk time, and somebody else comes and then gives, I need to compare the percentage and arrive at the best decision, little bit of percentage. I would say that I have not utilized in my life, in spite of being a mathematics lover. I was a hardcore mathematics lover, by the way. I have not utilized more than 2 to 3% of the mathematics that, and yet the very formative years of my life I have spent struggling to understand the relevancy of mathematics, and the mathematics itself I couldn't. Please don't misunderstand me. We need to grasp the basics of all the subjects. But beyond the basics, we are missing out on something, which is the exploration of the inner world. And if we can add those by removing some which are not very relevant to life anyway, we would have a solution for making a transition into one of the most integral way of approaching the education. And that is something that we are attempting in a very small way in Sri Aurobindo Ashram, where there is a center of education. You will get a glimpse of what is being attempted here. in one of the subsequent sessions. But this is what I would like to. There are two worlds. There is a world outside which is common for everybody. There is a largely unexplored world on the inside. And if education can help me to gain mastery over it, every engagement with the outside world is going to make meaning to me. And that is what we would like to have it for the children of India. In fact, I have given you only the example of mathematics, how in a general way, by and large, we are using only less than 5%. If I add chemistry, you remember all those chemical formulas that you had mugged up? Anybody can tell me the chemical formula of this chair? When you sit on the chair, do you remember, oh, I'm sitting on, CH4 plus this and that and that? Except one or two who are very scientifically oriented, chemically oriented, by and large, it has been information. It's okay, we need to have a basic of information, but this information cannot be the whole of education. And in a certain sense, out of the 10 years, first 10 years of education, class 1 to class 10, 95% of what we are teaching to children in a general way is not going to be relevant. And if that is so, what can we do to improve? We can substitute with something that is relevant, that is beautiful, that will build up the personality from inside out. And this is what I wanted to present to you in the name of an integral education, a holistic education which takes care of both the worlds. How do we bring about it? Well, there is no one way, there is no one method, and perhaps here in the name of Antaram, we needed to understand and go inside and then come up with solutions for this. And that is why perhaps we are here. But we will, if we are convinced of the need for such an education, we will find a way. And as Vijayji said rightly, we will find a way and we will decide the education that is needed for us. Why is India not right at the top of the list of the world, the countries that are there, where every individual has developed his potentials to the maximum? Because there is something not okay with the educational system. If we take care of the educational system, everybody who is there in every known field of action would have got a better education, and therefore they would have become better people, and we will eventually have a better India. How do we go about it? Well, I leave it open to you for discussions, and I will request my next speaker to take up another aspect of what we mean by education, and then we will figure out a way to reach there.